Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Ritigliano, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Thanks to all of you for being here today. Dr. Dubé was mentioned Connecticut and comparisons. It seems to me the best way to get an effect of what might happen is, rather than an academic study, would be to go to somebody running a store and ask you what has happened or what will happen. How many stores do you have?
We have 6.
And how many employees do you have?
About 250.
Okay. Now, if you have 250 employees and you were to have an increase in the cost of labor of 39%, what would you
Well,
do
you would
about it?
reduce employment or raise prices or both.
What would happen if you raise prices?
Typically, we find that, our stores vary from in counties. We would see a reduction in business in certain parts of the state where we're located.
Are you already dealing with, what are your plans for the new health care law coming in 2014?
I'm on my 3rd webinar from industry associations, honestly trying to figure out how to handle it.
But your choice will be to offer a more expensive health insurance or pay a $2,000 penalty per employee, or reduce the number of employees, or try part-time employees, correct?
Correct.
And in addition to that, then you'd have a 39% increase in the cost of employees.
Correct. The real increase for us is with the cash wage, the tip wage. This is what we determine to be the most unfair aspect of this. We already pay servers, tipped employees, $5.69 an hour in Connecticut, which is one of the highest in the nation. By law, they have to make at least the minimum wage, including tips, on average. We're at $20, $25 an hour. It's almost an unfair increase for this sector of our employees, whereas other employees would suffer for the lack of money available to the funds. I wanted to address the doctor for just 1 second. They make it seem like there's consensus on the reports on studies through universities. The University of California at Irvine and the Federal Reserve Board did their own study. They studied the studies, and they came up with 85% of the studies reflect a decrease in employment after the minimum wage. So there is not a minimum wage increase. There is not consensus on the issue.
No, but it seems to me the most interesting evidence is those of you who are actually have to make these decisions. Indexing. Let's say, Mr. Sickler, that the economy goes down, and indexing, but the indexing formula says you can't lower the price of your employees. So I would assume that restaurants, if the economies go down, are one of the first to feel it. Isn't that right? Economy gets bad.
Absolutely.
The restaurant business
Sure.
gets a little worse.
That's where you spend your extra, family would spend their extra money.
So if you can't lower the cost of your people you hire, then where do you cut? What do you do?
Well, I mean, you try to cut hours. You would like to raise prices, but the cost of our prices are high enough right now. I mean, it's hard for us to raise the prices of what we sell any higher. We'll drive away the rest of the folks that come to our counters at that point.
Mr. Ritigliano, what would you cut if the restaurant business went down? The economy goes down, the restaurant business goes down, but you can't. But the prices, the indexing keeps going up for employees. What do you cut?
Well, you reduce employees and you reduce hours. The main thing people need to remember when it comes to the restaurant business, nobody has to come to us. We are in the discretionary income business. Mm-hmm. So when the economy downturns, we're usually one of the first things that go.
Now, you talk about a learning job. If the entry-level job pays $10, if somebody shows up without any experience, somebody 19, 20 years old, and wants a job for $10 an hour, what do you do?
Well, for that amount of wage, I would expect some sort of skill set to come along with it. The higher the price, the more experience they would need.
What's your experience in terms of entry-level minimum wage employees? How soon do they get a pay increase?
In my company, as fast as they demonstrate the ability to do the job, we bump them up right away.
And what's the best job training? Is it for them, for your kind of business, to go to the community college or to some other place, or is it better for you just to train them yourselves?
We train them ourselves.
So
the best job for our people is to start off at a lower position in the restaurant, show an interest in the hospitality industry, and then move up in our company. And then we hope they stay, and we compensate them accordingly.
Would you agree that at a time we have 12 million unemployed people, and a number of them are trying to get on the economic ladder, that if we saw off the economic ladder, or saw off the bottom rung of it, it'll make it harder for them to get a learning job or a chance to move up the ladder.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really, truthfully, one of the best things we could do for our young people is to get them into a work environment where they learn how to conduct themselves in a job, punch in, punch out, show up on time, learn some basic job skills.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.